it's not a donor. It's not just a donor. That's your child's biological parent.
Mm-hmm.
That's your child's biological parent. If you were conceiving with a partner, would you refer to them as the donor? No, that's your child's biological parent. And when you refer to, well, it's just a donor to your child, you are invalidating half of your child's DNA, half of what the building blocks of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you are immediately dialing in shame into them as a human. It's the amount of the slippery slope that can, a donor is just a donor, can do is really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for some donor conceived people, they don't give two shits about their donor. Oh, is it okay if I swear?
Absolutely. Totally
Okay,
fine.
I just realized this. Like I didn't ask. I'm sorry. So So there are some donor conceived people who don't care about their donor. They have no interest. They have no, and that's cool. That's neat. But it should be their choice and their realization.
Mm-hmm.
As a recipient parent, you cannot put that on your child. Your child has to discover that for themselves. So understanding the importance and being like, yes, this is your, you can say like, yes, this was a donor, this was this person who helped us out, but don't be like, oh, they were just a donor.
Mm-hmm.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's not your real parent. Like, that's not what you should be putting into your child. One, your child is gonna know who raised them. Your child is gonna know who's there for them. Your child's gonna know who's packing my lunch, who wakes me up, who's there for me on my birthday. Your child's gonna know. Trust your kid and trust the love that you give your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always, and it's always something that like parents who don't tell their children that they are donor conceived, to me, is a direct result of them being insecure about their parenting.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
For me and my parents were never concerned about that. That was never like, yeah, of course we're going to tell her, because they were secure over the fact of like, no, we're good. We know we'll be fine. Laura's going to be okay. She knows
Mm-hmm.
who's there. She knows who's at her basketball game. She knows that we're there at her swim meets. She knows we're good. This is her knowledge, and she has the right to know that this is her truth.
Absolutely.
This was never a question for them.
Yeah.
And all that. And so, and my dad was very supportive to me finding my donor. My father was very supportive to me. He never was like, he always was supportive because he was like, no, she's good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I will tell the parents, because I do get a lot of parents, and I talk to a lot of parents who are very insecure if they're not the biological parent. And I mean, I don't speak for all donor conceived people, but I'll just let you guys know, like, there hasn't been a second in my life where I didn't view my dad as my dad.
Yeah.
Never once. And my dad and I have had rough patches. We've had screaming matches. And in those screaming matches, there was never, ever a moment where it popped into my head saying, I'm going to tell him he's not my real father. Never popped into my head. Because that was never something that I've ever felt in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That man is my father.
Yeah.
Always and forever. Never once. And again,
I have two biological parents, and I'll tell you, I told them I was adopted several times. So I honestly don't think that actually matters. And like you said, it's the relationship you have with them that matters, not the DNA or that, right? Like it's that bond. It's them being emotionally available for you in the light and in the dark. And if you can give that to your child as a parent, that's what makes you a parent. And that's where working on your traumas and the bullshit of before and during fertility issues is important, because I can hands down guarantee you, for me, I didn't realize this stuff was necessary. I mean, I did a lot of work to get pregnant naturally, but the traumas that I didn't know that I had started to pop up when my second son was born, and he was a spit of me. And I saw my childhood in him. And so all the anger and all the repressed emotion that I didn't even know was there was coming up. And because I was conscious enough to know that these feelings weren't right, these emotions weren't
Mhm.
right, then I started to do the work. But that's only because I allowed myself to at least open Pandora's box, right? Like the little steps that you take, and then you just become more conscious and more conscious. But I'm telling you, no matter um, when you have a child in your hand, I per I personally believe they're sent to trigger the shit out of you and make you grow, right? To become a better person. So if you can
Oh,
do
yeah,
that before they come, it's gonna
kids
be a
are
lot
gonna
easier.
are have a magical way of knowing exactly the thing that you didn't know you needed to be called out on. They
Yes.
have a way of finding it out. It's very I used to work in childcare.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, no, kids are magical little trigger buttons. They're quite impressive. But yeah, I really it's like you have to be secure enough in your parenting and in your relationship um before before you start, going down the donor conception and infertility treatment path. Because if you especially have a donor conceived child, yeah, there's a very good chance your child is going to want to meet their biological parent, which is unbelievably normal. And how
Mhm.
I always explain this is, um, why did you choose donor conception? Why did you choose it? Out of other ways to build your family, why'd you choose donor conception? It is typically because you wanted at least one of you to have a biological attachment to one of the children. So if you can understand that, then you should have empathy for your child wanting to know who their other biological parent is.
Yeah.
And understand that love is not pie, it is not finite, it is infinite. Your child could hypothetically develop a relationship with their biological parent and still have beautiful, full love for the parents who raised them.